Welcome to the Nerdy Jock Podcast, where we are for the first time covering a contemporaneous release of something, Dragon Ball Daima.
Man, we were so stoked for this.
Dude, this is an amazing day for Dragon Ball Z. We've got Sparking Zero.
Sparking Zero released today on PS5. I don't know, is it on Xbox too? Not sure.
I think it's everything, yeah.
It's everywhere. But it's already hitting X, Twitter, it's online, on Instagram. We're gonna start playing that as soon as tomorrow ourselves. We're gonna download the game today and get into that as well. So keep your eyes open and ears peeled for more content on Sparking Zero stuff too.
Yeah, but I mean, just the fact that Sparking Zero and Daima dropped on the same day. I mean, the final probably new Dragon Ball Z content we'll ever have, because obviously it's being released posthumously after Akira Toriyama died.
Rest in peace, our brother.
Yeah, but I mean, we just watched it, so we're coming in hot.
We're coming in hot. So this is literally what we watched. It is October 11th, the day of. We were watching it. We're gonna do our closest pod we've ever done, like you just said, to the actual release. So we're stoked, man. We just got initial impressions. It's insane. It's awesome. The animation is superb. The storyline is intriguing. The backstory was funny as hell. I mean, you have to watch Dragon Ball Z, right, for this to make sense. You really kind of do.
And even if you haven't, they did give that little recap right at the beginning. I mean, it was a beautifully animated recap of basically everything. And then they gave a second recap as they introduced us to the villains of the series.
Exactly. So Dragon Ball Daima, it takes place after Dragon Ball Z and before Dragon Ball Super.
Right.
So
it just slid right into that tiny little spot.
It is canon. And like from what we can tell from episode 1 of Dragon Ball Daima, which I think it's called Conspiracy is the episode name.
Right.
Is that it does happen literally, I think, pretty much like a day after Dragon Ball Z ends, basically.
Yeah, Trunks' birthday.
It's Trunks' birthday.
The whole team is gathered. Goku now wears a yellow gi. He's like, you know what? I'm retiring the orange. You know, it's now time to wear a yellow gi. But yeah, I mean, you already said it. The biggest thing that jumps out to me about this, and we talked about this before on a previous pod when we were covering Dragon Ball Z, is just how beautiful the animation was.
It's gorgeous.
Just how much space Toei gave this animation team to just play around. And it made me long for a full animated remake of Dragon Ball Z. Like seeing those sequences with Boo, I was like, oh my God, that looks so good.
Right? I mean, even the last, what was it, Superhero, that had that 5-minute intro, which did the backstory of Dragon Ball. That was gorgeous.
Most of the episode looked like that.
It looked like that. And we get another version of that in Dragon Ball Daima episode 1. So I'm like, dude, bring it on. I love it. Do a full remake. And like I said, we're just jumping. Hey, this is reactions. We're going to be all over the place here.
Yeah.
But I want to tell you, just to take a quick second and say that when they made Dragon Ball, Super, they were having problems with the animation style. There was a lot of grief and complaints about like, oh, that looks like
very short schedule.
They didn't take their time.
Tadayoshi Yamamuro's designs, not a lot of people big fans of that. And then obviously like those funny meme sequences, which you can see right here at the Goku versus Beerus.
We'll show that for you too. But the point I'm trying to make is that on Dragon Ball Daima, Dan was talking before the pod. We were talking pre-pod, and he said they gave Toei Animation 2 years to do this season of Dragon Ball Daima.
I think so. Yeah. One or 2 years. They just gave them money and just said, here, go play with it. And I mean the animators that they brought on too. I think I mentioned them in a previous pod, and I don't know their names off the top of my head. Maybe we'll do a special episode just for them.
We got to hit on that too later on, but I know it was one of the guys who did the Broly film, Dragon Ball Super Broly. He was one of the animators, because you could see some very distinctive Goku character design as well. But
yeah, I mean, they just gave this thing like everything the fans want.
Yes.
Just huge budget, on model designs that were. I mean, even like the old Tadayoshi Yamamuro designs for Goku and Gohan and Boo, and the flashbacks in Vegeta. And like, here, I'll tell you something. Like, I'll confess something. I've never been a fan of Goku v Vegeta 2. I always thought that fight was kind of boring, but seeing it animated here, I was like, that fight looks sick.
So he's talking about the Majin Vegeta fight.
Yes, of course.
Exactly. I mean, the Tenkaichi Budokai at the tournament. When Majin Buu goes crazy. You've seen the Buu saga. We haven't covered it yet on our pod, by the way, so stay tuned. We're going to actually get back on that. We're right in the Android/Cell saga now. We're about to get in that after Daima, or maybe even in between Daima. I don't know. It just depends how full our plates are. But it was freaking insane. I mean, the fight between Vegeta and Goku was awesome.
In the tournament where he blocked the final flash or whatever.
And he gets knocked right out. He's like, you idiot. It was so cool. He gets knocked right through the wall of the tournament, and it just brought all these great flashbacks and memories from when I watched Dragon Ball Z live back in the day.
Right. We actually talked about this too. Like before today, we didn't know what time it was going to release on Crunchyroll.
Right.
We just heard it was October 11th. So I think both of us were up at midnight. Like, is it on? And then I
woke up at like 4 o'clock in the morning, and I just pulled up my phone. I was like, Crunchyroll, Dragon Ball Daima.
I woke up at 6. I set an alarm and I was laughing. I was like, this is the first time in over 20 years I've woken up at 6 a.m. to watch Dragon Ball.
And I was so excited. I really was. I can't lie. I woke up at 4. I was groggy eyed. I was like, let's check. No, not there.
Yeah.
Woke up at 6 again, checked again, not there.
Right.
And then luckily, DK found something online where it said, okay, Dragon Ball Daima is going to release at 10 a.m. in America on Crunchyroll. I'm like, okay, thank God. Because yesterday in Japan in the afternoon, it was already Friday. So we didn't know. We were just like, when are they going to drop it? When are they going to drop it? So I'm sure a lot of you out there are excited as we are and are watching live and the day of. So
and you know what? I'll be blunt. You know, anytime there's a new Dragon Ball thing, my biggest worry is that I'm going to hate it. Mm-hmm. It's always my worry. I did not hate the first episode of Daima.
I loved it.
There were some things where it's like we can get into, but like I feel like I have become that fan with this thing where it's like I just want more of the thing that I've already seen, but different. You know, that beautiful animation, the recap, some of that stuff I don't like, which we can get into. Actually, let's get into it now.
Yeah, I mean, okay, we'll start with what you didn't like, and then I'll talk about a couple things that I really did like.
Yeah,
too.
We'll make a sandwich. We already talked about what we like. So one thing that I don't like with any franchise, not just Dragon Ball, is when you kind of reuse lore in different contexts, because to me it makes the world feel a little bit smaller. Like this is a big problem that Star Wars has right now. In this show, we have this old Namekian who is the creator of the Demon World. Dragon Ball.
His name is Neva, Neva the Namek.
That's right, Neva the Namek.
Yep.
Neva, and he like his presence in it. I'm just like, man, like we have this big multiverse of universes now that are canon, but somehow everybody knows who the Namekians are.
Yeah.
It just makes everything feel like very, very small. Now, some of it I didn't mind, like the whole Goma thing being related to Dabura. You know, I felt like that kind of expanded that out a little bit.
And it was very funny because Goma is like the new demon king of the demon realm, which is where the first episode starts. If you're watching with us right now, they do the recap, and then you get a really cool, really funny explanation as they watch the Z fighters basically destroying Boo and Dabura, the demon king, who, you know, the big red guy. We'll show a picture of here if you don't remember, but I'm sure you guys remember who he is. But it was just so funny because their live reactions, like watching a UFC fight, like, oh my God, he's dead. He's like, wait, this is good. Now we can take over and stuff like that. So
it was good to use because you know, you always like there was that comment that Kaioshin made in Z where he's like, oh my God, like even Babidi was able to enslave Dabura, the king of the demon world. And it's like, wait, what's a demon world? You know? So
but just to segue there, because you said the demon world, like what's a demon world? That you said, it's funny because you said the whole situation with Neva and the Nameks makes it feel smaller because there's a Namek basically everywhere. Because there's Dragon Balls everywhere. I get that. But I think Akira Toriyama and Dragon Ball Z universe, and there's a lot of shonen anime that are great about expanding the universes, but I think Dragon Ball Z does it one of the best. I mean, little minute characters like you thought the Kais, right? At the end in the Buu saga, we're like, okay, whatever. They're a minor character, not even important, and they come up to like be the center of the story 20 something odd years later.
Yeah.
I mean, even Super, they're really not significant, but they're like, hey, we never really got to go deep in the demon world and the demon realm. We've always known it's there. You know, even they mentioned that Piccolo, Demon King Piccolo, or the Namekians come of the demon world because they have spiky ears. So that's kind of
that was an interesting point that they brought up when they mentioned that, because there are some things that are finicky with Piccolo being a Namekian between Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, where like in the 23rd Tenkaichi Budokai, he makes comments of like, oh, like Ma people like me, like Majins like me, you know, like have these kinds of abilities, or I thought only like Majins like me had it. And it's like, he really thinks he's a demon. He doesn't know that he's just like an alien or whatever. But now it's like, oh wait, no, maybe
Yeah.
all aliens, but also that is Kaioshin also a demon or from demons?
That's what I'm saying. Kaioshin, all the Kai race are originally from the demon world. So when you said it, like, in my opinion, I think expanding on the demon world and take this little nugget that you thought was a very inconsequential part of Dragon Ball Z, just to maybe train Gohan up to give him some new powers and a new upgraded costume or whatever he did when he became Super Gohan.
Right.
Is that it expanded a whole world. So now we're going to see the demon realm. In Dragon Ball Super, you guys, we saw, before the Tournament of Power, we saw all the dozen universes, or I can't remember how many universes it was, but we got to see every single universe in the Dragon Ball world. And now we're going to see the demon realm. And I was like, dude, that is so cool. I mean, demon realm has been around since Dragon Ball original.
I'm trying to remember if the angels in Super have pointy ears too, like Whis and just all the angels. Do they the people who serve the destroyer gods? Do they have pointy ears? I don't remember. We'll probably show it right here, and it'll be at that thing. But
we'll bring it up.
That point was a little interesting. I mean, it's funny because we have Goma, who's basically a Pilaf-esque villain. He's the new king of the demon world because Dabura was turned into a cookie and eaten by Boo, which that to me made me laugh. Their reaction to it.
They're like, what?
He was beaten so easily. Yeah, that was great. So it's funny, and he does sound like Pilaf. It might be Pilaf's voice actor.
And you're right, and it had great comedy in that moment too, which is got to give more props to Akira Toriyama. We miss you, we love you. But, Super did go in a zanier, a funner direction than Z, remember?
Yeah,
and Dragon Ball, you can tell that Akira always really had a love for the affinity of the original Dragon Ball and like the spirit of the characters and the fun, even though there was a lot of martial arts involved. And then Z went super hard, let's just get swole and powerful. And then Super went back to, combine the best of Z with the best of Dragon Ball. And you're seeing a continuation of that with Dragon Ball Daima, in my opinion.
His humor is definitely there. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it's like, okay, like let's just get to it. But I mean, he is having fun with the premise. And in terms of the seriousness, in terms of the plot, where this is going, it seems like what's going to happen is Goku and the crew are going to have to go on a journey to the demon world to get those demon Dragon Balls and defeat those three like Kamen Rider-esque guardians who are guarding them or whatever, like the total tokusatsu, like, insect heroes or whatever that are guarding them.
Kind of like robot kind of guardians of the Dragon Balls, which I'm surprised other realms don't have guardians for Dragon Balls. They're pretty much just open and available to anyone who can find them.
That's a good point. I mean, it seems like on Namek it makes sense because there aren't any evil people on Namek, and all the elders each have a ball. But I don't know what Kami was thinking when he was just like, I'm just gonna give the world, which is full of evil, the ability to access their deepest, darkest desires at any given moment.
Yeah, I mean, granted, we can't blame Kami because he didn't know that Bulma was going to make the Dragon Radar or the Scouters, or he thought they're just going to be scattered balls around the Earth, I guess.
Right.
But when you get them all together, then chibi characters can form. We can get the best of that.
Yeah.
So do you think, just a segue for a second, and we're going to be all over the map here. We're not really doing a plot by plot beat at all on this.
No. Go watch it. Go watch it, guys.
If you haven't watched it, watch it. Then come back and join us there because this is a great show. I love it. Like episode 1. A+. I'm in. I'm involved. I felt so happy watching it, and I'm stoked.
I'm more excited for this than I was when Super came out.
Right.
Because Super, I didn't like the way it looked, and I was also immediately disappointed that we were recapping a movie that we had already seen, which Battle of Gods and stuff like that. But this is like totally fresh and original. It looks great. Character design's awesome. Animation. Dude, the battle animation just throughout the show, like even Goku versus Vegeta right at like the middle of the episode, that was cool. Phenomenal stuff.
And even the scripts, guys, the script is, I'll be real, like the animation, the Broly film and Super was great, but the script is pretty bad. It jumps all over. At least this one had kind of a more coherent plot and script to the animation.
Yeah, it didn't feel...
It wasn't like, it's not like going to win it's not Hayao Miyazaki, but it did have its own voice, and it kind of did have, it made sense. I watched some films in Dragon Ball, and I'm like, dude, like it's just like, hey, we're gonna fight here, jump here, jump here. And
that's like every plot of every Dragon Ball Z movie can be summed up as like, here is the beginning and here is the fight.
Right. Yeah.
And that's basically it. But this, like, it wasn't even that. I mean, where it left off. It left off with the wish being granted.
Yeah.
And also there's some mystery being set up because obviously So one thing we need to talk about is how, people have talked about how this was going to completely erase GT.
Right.
And it did. Just the one line with Kaioshin and Kibito separating with Boo. It's like, oh, right, yeah, GT is done. And then also the very novel idea of a Pilaf-esque character wishing everybody becomes kids again or something like that.
I mean, that was one of my questions I was just about to ask you was Dan, I mean, I guess you kind of answered yourself, but do you prefer a Akira Toriyama-led Dragon Ball Daima over a GT? Probably easy answer here, guys.
I mean, obviously, like GT, everything has already been said about GT that needs to be said about it.
We don't need to cover that.
I'll give GT its flowers in terms of its animation staff. I don't think that they get enough recognition. Like, that show looked beautiful, but I mean, we all know GT had a lot of problems. It had a really good ending, but it had a lot of problems.
Just to jump in, is like, I really do think, they're like, hey, it's right after Z, we're gonna just kind of, hell, most Dragon Ball fans, you guys know, you don't count Dragon Ball GT as canon anyway. No one really does. I don't think they did, and this is given Akira Toriyama a free, clean slate. And the way they started this episode, just literally starting right at the end of the Z, was a perfect segue. And we know it's before Super, right after Z, and it's gonna be right in between. And I was like, you know what? Perfect. Give me a good canon story that I'm going to get involved in and love, and expand on the world in ways and places that we never got to see before. Like the Demon World. I've been waiting to learn about this for a hot minute now. Yeah,
I mean, there was a mystery with Dabura that was never really touched on. And now we get to see it.
Yeah.
And now we don't just get to see it. I mean, we kind of dipped our toe in, but the fact that all the trailers have shown us that Goku's got his Nyoibo back and he's going to be running through the demon realm, and he's going to be less powerful, so he's going to have to rely on martial arts and not just like insane amounts of power to overcome the stuff. It's like, this has potential to be a fun, childish adventure in the vein of Dragon Ball, and I really, really hope that they stick the landing, because with the amount of development it's had, the fact that it is Akira Toriyama's final story, I just really hope that we get a really nice send-off, and then we can all just facepalm knowing that Super is what comes next.
Exactly, yeah. well, speaking of facepalm, here's my next question. Okay, and this is kind of not directly related to Dragon Ball Daima, but they took 2 years-ish, at least a year and a half to do the animation to make it gorgeous. Now, we all know there's a stoppage in Dragon Ball Super. Everyone's ready for the Moro arc, the Galactic Patrol arc, and the superhero super arc coming in the future. We're all excited to see that. I want to see Ultra Ego and Vegeta, stuff like that too. I've seen some of the manga. I haven't read it all, but I'm excited to check it out, and I'm ready for more Super as well. But I do think they are being strategic about how they're dealing with Super now. I think they are going to take it. We've talked about this in a previous pod before. I think they're going to do the same thing they did with Daima. They're going to take a couple years, maybe 3, maybe 5 if they need to. But when they release them, they're going to be those super crisp, beautiful animated episodes, just like the new One Pieces are compared to One Piece Season 1,
Oh, you mean you're talking about the One Piece remake specifically?
Well, no, not even though. Even the
later seasons. Oh yeah,
they take their time. I mean, that's obviously where Toei's been focusing their finances, is on the One Piece realm, which I get it. It's the most popular anime in the world right now,
and it looks insane. It looks insane. Yeah, right now One Piece. If you're not watching like the latest episodes, even if you have no idea what's going on, if you're a fan of animation, just put on the episode where Shanks just like destroys a town using his power and stuff like that. It's insane.
But yeah, sorry to interrupt. But
no, go ahead.
Not One Piece pod. That'll come soon later. We'll see.
Maybe. We'll cover 1,113 episodes.
And our last episode of One Piece pod will be, that was the journey line, my
Luffy finally became king of the pirates, Kevin.
Now they're going to do a remake.
Yeah,
I said like 90. No.
To touch on what you said though, like, I don't know what Toei is going to do, because you're right. There is this like wealth of content in Super that has never been animated.
Like volumes and volumes. Probably 150 plus episodes.
The bulk of the story. Yeah. If you lump it all together with Tournament of Power, with Hit, with all that stuff, I think it's the majority of the story now is the stuff that hasn't been animated. And I know that a lot of people want to see it animated, but there's also those whispers about it getting a full remake. Wow. And I don't know what's going to happen, because you and I are going to disagree with that, but I'm starting to hear our queen, Masako Nozawa, Goku, like, I'm starting to hear the strain. There were some screams in Daima where I was like, I'm starting to hear that this person is pushing 90 years old. And, you know, I mean, that's just the thing. The human body ages. Like, singers go through this. Everybody goes through this. It's amazing that she's maintained. Even Vegeta doesn't sound the same as he did in Z. He sounded much more princely in Z, and he sounds much more, like, gruff now.
He does sound a lot older. He, like, he sounded like King Vegeta. I remember at the table at Trunks' birthday party in this episode, they're talking, and he says, you know, Goku asked Vegeta to fight. He says, very well. You know, I was like, whoa, it was very deep.
Yeah, very gravelly. Like, it was very, like, if you go back and watch Z, like, it's butter smooth, that voice. It's very much a Prince's voice. So I don't know what they're going to do. I mean,
sorry. But I did think we are disagreeing here because I thought Goku's voice was great. I thought it was fine. He noticed, I didn't notice the differences. For me, I was like, oh, I was actually pretty happy. When I saw him start talking, I was like, oh, okay, she's still kind of crisp, in my opinion.
It was when Vegeta did the Big Bang or the Final Flash or whatever, Goku in the thing, and Goku yells Bakeero or whatever, I heard like a break. And I was just like, oh crap, I've never heard Goku's voice break before like that. I was like, oh no. Like, I got immediately anxious. I mean, because obviously time claims us all, and there will be a point. I mean, it's already starting to happen with Rurouni Kenshin. Yeah. Not so much with the Ranma remake. They brought back as much as the original cast as they could, but at some point, these things are going to get remade, and they're going to have to cast new actors. Right. And it's going to be... I mean, it's going to be beautiful animation, hopefully, but I mean, at some point, our queen is going to have to hang up the spiky-haired wig. You know,
never. But I'll tell you this. So I think that look, I'm an actor. I'm an artist as well. You're a writer. Like, I do not want AI to take any jobs ever. No. But at the same time, I'm like, they have enough. They have 30 years of. Her voice they could pay her a huge sum and use her voice for a future. You know what? I shouldn't even say that. It's terrible, but
no, it's hot take, dude. I mean, put it out there.
I do. Like, that's what. I'm not a fan of AI, but I think there are cases, especially in voice acting, where, like, man, I would just love to have her voice forever as Goku.
Well, what do you guys think? Like in an event where Masako Nozawa can no longer perform Goku, should they recast Goku, or should they use AI to have her voice be Goku in perpetuity?
Because remember, I mean, we did have the old dubs, with the old voice actors, the original, what was the name of that dub again? The
Ocean dub?
Ocean dub.
And even before that, the Golden Harmony dub, and then the Funimation dub.
The Funimation dub. So, like, we have adapted over the years to slightly different voices. I think the most noticeable of which is probably Vegeta's voice is pretty different.
I think of it like Broadway. Yeah. It's like you have Michael Crawford can be Phantom, you have Ramen Karumlu can be Phantom. They're both different Phantoms, and they're both great Phantoms. So.
Yeah, so it's like, you know what? I'm not really opposed to a recast either, but she's the best, so she's the GOAT.
Yeah, I think they're gonna pass the torch. But speaking of voice actors, like, one thing that fans are excited about that we will not see for a couple of months, because I don't think they're going to be dubbing this at the rate that, like, My Hero is being dubbed, but they're bringing back Linda Allen, aka Funimation's original Kid Goku, to voice Goku as a kid in this show.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, shout out to Linda Allen, because Kid Goku is great, and it's going to be fun. So is it? Wait, she did Gohan's voice as well, though?
She did do Gohan's voice, and she did Frieza, I believe. Frieza as well. Yeah.
Okay, I've seen her on some panels and, like, Comic-Con kind of stuff too. So she's out there and she's active, and it's good to see her working back on Dragon Ball again. Then.
Man, I hope that I got it right, and it's not a different voice actor, because everyone's gonna rip me in half if I did.
You're gonna be destroyed if it's wrong.
Guys, if I got that wrong, I don't watch the dub, so it's like you can eviscerate me in the comments. That's what we're here for.
But also, a couple more key takeaways from this episode. Takeaways.
Okay,
takeaway. Another great takeaway from this episode is I liked how they did some really nifty plot compartmentalization, retconning in great ways. They just made it work. They're like, okay, how are we going to explain this? How are we going to explain that? They explained in the voiceover in the very beginning that they said, Saiyans keep their youthful look for the majority of their life.
Right.
So by saying that one line in this episode of Dragon Ball Daima, that basically means they can make Dragon Ball for the next 40 years, and have Goku and Vegeta be the same age.
That is what it felt like they were doing. They're like, look, this is a soap opera. You know, characters will stay the same age forever and ever and ever. They might get recast at some point. We might use AI. Who knows?
And then if you're a human like Bulma, you can just use the Dragon Balls. So I think
obviously Namekians age very slowly because we have our first Namekian who's thousands of years old.
Never. He's looking it though. He's looking a little crusty around the edges there.
Yeah, for sure. But I think Piccolo, you know, he's got 3 Namekians in him. Like maybe his lifespan has also extended with, you know, his power.
I wouldn't be surprised if Piccolo comes up in 10 years, 20 years from now. He's absorbing Neva. He's absorbing everyone.
Right.
In 20 years, he's going to have like 18 Namekians inside him. And then now he's like Super Dragon Ball, Super Piccolo. So he's also got other powers that makes him extends his life by another 1,000 years.
Yeah, Orange Piccolo.
Orange Piccolo, exactly.
That whole thing. But
so, I don't know. What other takeaways did you get from this? I mean, it was just so much to talk about. I really wish we could do a breakdown, but I think
there's something that's like been bothering me for like 10 minutes, and I can't remember what it was. There was something that I wanted to say, and it was super like, oh man, I really, really want to say this, and I'm gonna remember it after. I'm gonna kick myself. I'll save it for next episode, but. Key takeaway, I'm excited to see where this goes. I really am. It doesn't feel like the way that I felt about Super, which I did. Like when the second Super started airing, I was like, oh man, I don't like the way everybody looks. I don't like the animation, you know. And it's also like it's something new finally. It's not Frieza as the villain again. It's not Cell as the villain again. I mean, like even Boo was just kind of a setup for like the demon realm, and it's not even Dabura. It's a whole other world of foes, which was the best of Super.
Which is so cool.
Yeah.
It's just so cool. Exactly. That's why I'm so stoked, probably. You're right.
Yeah.
Like, I think I'd have to agree with you on that and just say that the demon world I'm super excited to see it. Every second we spent there, I was like, oh, what is this? What is that? Because Akira Toriyama and his team have been so great at making these beautiful, immersive, just fantastical worlds. And I think this demon realm is just a really cool place to explore that. Like, I remember as a kid growing up and seeing the Boo Saga, I'm like, who the hell are these guys?
Right.
And they never really even they were dead, they were turned into cookies and eaten before we could really get deep into the demon realm.
Yeah, Dabura's pedigree was only to establish just how crazy Babidi was. It's like, oh yeah, he could even enslave the king of the demon world.
We're like, demon world?
Right. But now we have like a whole other little sandbox to play in. And I hope that like they just, you know, kind of like a video game, they just really expand on just that world. Because we don't need to go bigger and bigger. We don't need to do like this dimension, this dimension, this dimension. Just stay in the demon world. I mean, because they call our world the outer world.
Right.
So I have to assume that the demon world is like kind of the upside down, where it's like maybe the same size as the world that we've seen, but it's just like inverted in some way, or, you know, whatever. So there's a lot to explore, and I'm excited to see what they do with it.
Okay. Well, let me ask you one more question then real quick.
Yeah.
So in this episode, Goma wished all the people who fought against Z and their friends to return Chibi, right?
You just reminded me of what I wanted to talk about. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Go ahead then.
No, keep going.
Well, I was going to ask you a question here. What do you think, because Goku and his friends, you know, Vegeta, Piccolo, they're all going to be like first grade level, right?
Yeah.
But we obviously know in the previews and trailers that he can go Super Saiyan as a kid still. So like he didn't say anything about his power levels. He just said something about his age.
Right.
Do you think Goku, Piccolo, Vegeta are all going to have the same abilities and powers they had, or are they going to be like slightly diminished because they're in their youthful
I think
form?
there's going to be some diminishment for sure. Like you're right. And that was actually a really funny bit where it was one of the funniest Shenron bits where it's like, I wish that they were all children. It's like, okay, but like what age are we talking about?
He's like, well, what about the ones that are kids? You know, mentioning Trunk and Trunk and Goten, and he's like, well, we'll make them babies. I'm like, okay, make them babies. So they go back, and we'll see. We don't know. I mean, the ending was a cliffhanger.
It was, yeah. I mean, they get transformed. I think there's going to be a marginal reduction in power. I think that at this point, it is canon that a kid can go Super Saiyan because Goten and Trunks have done it. So, and we've seen in the trailer that Goku does it as well. But I don't think it's going to be quite Dragon Ball GT where it's like Super Saiyan 3, Super Saiyan 4.
Okay.
I mean, or maybe there's fusion. Maybe we're gonna see like a kid Vegito.
That'd be great.
Super Saiyan 3 kid Vegito.
Look, I love Dragon Ball Daima already, and I love chibi shows, man. Like I used to watch the Gundam SD and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
and I've seen them all, and you collect, they make cool figures. So it's like let's see them as kids and see how it works out for them. I'm super stoked
for sure. And I mean, last point before we jump off here is that there is a lot of great mystery because it wasn't just them becoming kids. That was almost like the least important wish. That was just to prevent them from stopping him from doing the things that he wanted, because there were 2 more wishes.
Right. He wanted the third eye.
The third eye, and I don't remember what the third one was.
I don't remember what the third one is either.
Did they even say it? I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, but there's something sinister happening that Goma's doing, or maybe it's just going to be a bit like Toriyama always does. Like maybe it's just Commander Red wants to be taller, or Pilaf wants to be taller. Right. There's so many villains that just want to be taller in Dragon Ball.
I mean, there's just so many questions, which is cool. If it leaves with these kind of questions, they're going to get answered.
Right.
But like how did Neva, the old Namekian from the Demon Realm, just magically, was it just a plot convenience, or is there something about him? Was he one of the first Namekians to make Dragon Balls?
He was a plot tool. Yeah. I mean,
he could have been a plot tool.
There is a thing in any like world building where it's like if it hasn't been done yet, then it is a thing that you can do. Like it is a thing. I mean, like you touched on it, like Namekians being able to like absorb each other, like or whatever. I mean, yeah, that's a possibility. But I mean, but there's also Arinsu. Who is the I forget his name. Goma's like little henchman guy who's Kaioshin's younger brother.
Right.
And then there's Arinsu who's like a female Kaioshin.
Right.
And then there's like the sneaky guy who is watching them sort of plot.
Right.
So don't know what any of this is. Arinsu is obviously, she has her own plot because she went to the Universe 7 before they did.
She's already been there.
Yeah.
So she's like the Bulma. She's a sneaky version of Bulma, we decided. She's a scientist. She's smart. She's trying to get some more research done. What's the research? We don't know.
Right. Dr. Arinsu. So yeah, she's sneaky Bulma, sneaky demon Bulma.
But so many good questions, so many delightful things. It's 20 episodes. It's going to be 20 episodes. We got 19 more. And I'm excited to see every single one.
And we'll be back here every single week with a new episode, talking about it, unveiling the things, giving our predictions and all that stuff. So if you're not subscribed already, please make sure you slam that subscribe button.
Yeah.
Punch it.
Punch that subscribe button. Follow us. Write down what your comments and what you think about Dragon Ball Daima. Tell us what other content you want us to do.
Right.
We already did the Saiyan Saga and the Frieza Saga for Dragon Ball Z extensively. We're going to do the Cell Saga and the Buu Saga, especially after Dragon Ball Daima.
Yeah.
I know I sure as hell needed a refresher.
Oh, totally.
And then we're going to do, and we've already did JJK, Jujutsu Kaisen Season 1. So we'll see where that happens. If we were on Netflix, we would have been canceled because that one did not get the numbers that Dragon Ball got. so please rewatch them. They're good episodes. We do some really interesting, engaging, thoughtful commentary on JJK.
And we may do a one-off with Season 2. Just one episode just focusing on Season 2.
Knock it out.
Yeah, just knock it out because you've watched the whole thing.
I watched the whole thing.
I'm halfway through it. And spoiler alert, I like it a lot better than Season 1.
Yeah.
So.
And spoiler alert, it's a mixed bag for me. I'm like up here on some things and down here on others. So
we're gonna bring in a JJK expert for that episode.
We have a good friend coming in. He is an expert. He's one of the top guys on JJK in the world, I would say.
Biggest stan of JJK you'll ever meet.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a perfect foil to us who are just kind of like in that camp of like, yeah.
Okay, it was cool.
Yeah. But anyways, thank you for tuning in for episode 1 of Dragon Ball Daima Pod. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next week.
All right.